as was documented by police officer Detective Robert Hartley on the day of April 7, 2005. 2 men were discovered shot to death in a small apartment in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. As the RCMP had recorded, the apartment belonged to a Mr. Norman Waits, vagrant to society, drug addict, and 3-time convicted armed robber. The other man lying next to Mr. Waits was a Mr. Joseph L. King, compulsive gambler, drug dealer, and longtime friend to Mr. Norman Waits. The newspapers stated that Mr. Waits, with his extensive criminal past, and Mr. King, with his intimate knowledge of the street and drug community, had, in a perfect heist, killed and robbed known drug dealer William Waters only 2 nights prior, and the paper continued to say that the only reason the 2 men were caught was because of their greed. The Vancouver Police Department discovered that our 2 less than intelligent colleagues began their demise only 2 nights earlier in the apartment of a Mr. William Waters. Mr. Waters was a well-known drug dealer in the area who often carried large quantities of cash. On this particular occasion, Mr. Waters had over $100,000. Joseph L. King had been lucky enough to receive this piece of information from a friend at lunch only 3 days prior. This was later confirmed by an interview performed with a Mr. Danny Foxhorn. The manner in which Mr. Waters was ultimately killed is still a mystery to all. But as stated by the coroner, Mr. Waters had most likely been chopped into 11 pieces, later dumped into the nearby Kishkin River, where a fisherman discovered 1 left foot, 1 left calf, and 1 human head, all belonging to a Mr. William Waters. King and Waits had then proceeded to hide the money in the trunk of Waits' vehicle. The only logical motive for doing so would have been in fear of Mr. Waters' associates. Through the investigation of the Vancouver Police Department, we have concluded that at approximately 6:30 p.m., Norman Waits returned home to find none other than his friend and colleague, Joseph L. King. King had planned to kill his friend and business partner and escape with the $100,000. Unfortunately, unbeknownst to King, the money in the trunk of the vehicle had been removed only hours earlier by friend and associate Norman Waits. To explain, Mr. Waits had visited both the money and Frederick's Savings and Loans on the corner of 10th and Vine, just 2 hours previous to his confrontation with Mr. King. At Frederick's Savings and Loans, Mr. Waits opened a safety deposit box with only 1 name on the application, Mr. Norman Waits.
Where the fuck is it? Where the fuck is it? Son of a bitch. Where the fuck did he put it?
Faced with this fact, and the combined guilt of having killed his longtime friend and partner, Mr. Joseph L. King took his own life. The most interesting footnote in this case is the whereabouts of the money. When police officers arrived at Frederick's Savings and Loans and looked inside the briefcase left by Mr. Norman Waits, they found nothing. It seems that among all the haste and murder and money, neither Mr. King nor Mr. Waits had bothered to look inside the briefcase stolen from Mr. Waters. You would expect between the two men, Waits with his criminal past and King with his knowledge of the street, that one of them would have confirmed that the briefcase actually contained money. And you would expect that these two experienced men would have been able to safely dispose of Mr. Waters. And you would expect that these two career criminals would be able to survive their own heist. But these men were not criminal geniuses or masterminds. No, these men weren't even smart. They were simply ordinary men, like you and me. As for the money, it was found safely tucked underneath the bed of Mr. William Waters.